What genuinely terrifies you? Story 1. I have Huntington's disease, and I am only 26, which the prognosis is that my symptoms will set on faster than most. My memories will go, motor skills, basically become a vegetable. The other day, my SO and I ate smoked oysters. He brought it up the next day, and I didn't remember it. I didn't remind her our entire evening together. I still don't remember it. It is almost like he was telling me a story from someone else's life. Small details are slowly not sticking in my head anymore. And the paranoia is real because you think, am I just a normal human being and forget where my keys are? Or is my disease quickening its pace and slowly eating, not literally, away at my brain? That is what genuinely terrifies me. Edit. Wow, thanks guys. So much support from so many wonderful strangers. To answer questions, there were so many and a few of the same. It all started a while ago. I'm a nurse, and my hand was twitching so bad for a week that I couldn't chart. Luckily, our system is electronic, so I just use my other hand, and I forgot how to get to my boyfriend's house, and I'm there almost every day. And then I slept over at my boyfriend's, and he couldn't wake me up, and one arm was having a really bad tremor, and that was when we were both like, WTF is up. I see a neurologist once a week and answer a series of 80 questions to make sure I am competent enough to continue practicing as an RN. My boyfriend bought a new truck yesterday, and we were sitting at the dealership, and I forgot why we were there. And I got so mad at him and was like, why are we at an effing car dealership? Those who asked if I've thought about eliminate myself. Every day. I've thought about making a cocktail IV from the substances at work and just corking myself. But I couldn't leave my SO. He is so supportive and patient. When I forget that I wear contacts and always brings my spare lenses to work together, I couldn't leave my best friend like that. If love were enough, I wouldn't have Huntington's. If I missed any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Answer. Man, it takes a lot of courage to go through a disease like this. Short after my father showed the first symptoms, the doctors said it was Huntington's. It turned out it wasn't. It was motor neuron disease. However, there was a period where I was pretty sure I had got the bad gene. The fear, the paranoia was indescribable. I feel you. If you need someone to talk to, feel free to PM me. And don't forget, you have a solid chance of being here when we find the cure. Hell, it could even be this year. Don't let the fear eat you. Story 2. Brain injury. The people I know who have experienced a TBI get so frustrated with themselves. They know their mind is forever different than before. They know why, and they simply can't do anything about it. I could lose my intelligence, patience, personality, balance, speech, or pretty much anything else with just a bonk on the head. Answer. I add holding in sneezes as a subcategory to this fear. I find it terrifying indeed. My dad started a few different brain injury units in his career. At one, there was a man, a father of 2 in his 30s, who held in a sneeze and was a bedridden quadriplegic as a result. I have told every person whom I have heard hold back a sneeze since hearing this story about that man. His story really hit me hard. Story 3. That I smell. When I was just a wee lad, I got the bright idea of snorting liquid chlorine. Now, I cannot smell. I was a dumbass. Answer. I was a pool guy, and on pools there are inline chlorinators. These are basically big tubes that are attached to the big tubes on and around your pump. Some of the water that goes back to your pool is diverted into a canister that is loaded up with chlorine, so you don't have any annoying floater in your pool. Well, when I first started years ago, I was leaning over one of these things, trying to get the darn cap off. I was grunting and groaning and eventually broke the seal. I breathed a sigh of relief and immediately was knocked out by the most awful gas that I've ever inhaled. This Inline chlorination had been sitting stagnant for a few months, and in the summer heat, the chlorine residue turned to vapor, and I just so happened to breathe that air in right after breaking the seal on the canister. Every orifice on my face burned, but I never did go to the hospital. That stuff is nasty. Edit. This is an inline chlorinator. Story 4. Getting T-boned by a truck running a red light and sitting for 40 minutes underneath an engine block while my life slowly drains away in utter pain and misery. I know, that's pretty specific, but my EMT brother told me a story of a scene he showed up to where they thought they had cleared everyone out of a car that was hit by a truck, but a non-English speaking survivor kept crying and trying to explain that everyone wasn't accounted for, until a firefighter discovered half of a hand sticking out from the side the truck's engine block. And the poor guy-gall might have been alive under there. Albeit not for much longer. Oh, that was just a very shocking mental image for me, to imagine being that person. I'm also genuinely more terrified of traffic accidents than most other scary things, like an intruder in the night, since being in a car is such a common thing in my life, and on the road, things can happen so quickly, unsuspectingly, and outside your control. I just got into a fairly minor accident a couple weeks ago, and it came as such a shock to me, because at the time I thought I was doing everything right. Gotta stay alert and suspicious of other drivers out there. Story 5. Passing of loved ones, or any emotional or physical harm they might come by. I still have both parents and all 4 grandparents. I don't know what I'll do when they pass. Answer. I never had this anxiety too much until my dad passed away unexpectedly 2 years ago. It's kind of one of those things you don't think about, but when it does happen, you'll have a fear of losing everyone else in your life because you know it can happen now. It fudge sucks, but unfortunately passing is a part of life, and at some point you will lose someone you love. I think the worst thing about getting older is losing people, especially your parents. Even though if things go the way nature intended, you'll have to experience losing both of your parents at some point. Story 6. The loss of my memories, Alzheimer's, and amnesia in particular. Edit. This is the saddest top comment I've ever made. Your insights are both deeply moving and accentuate my fears. Thank you all for your stories. Answer. This. My grandmother went through this over a period of 8 years until she passed in November 2015. First, she forgot a roast on Christmas. Conversations then became hard as she kept losing track. This is when she started to get angry. It was infuriating to know you are unable to remember something everyone else easily could. Then she became silent. Conversations with her were light and largely forced, in as pleasant a way as possible. She was less angry then. Then she forgot who I was. Instead of her only grandson, I was now the equivalent of a nice neighbor boy. She would tell me stories about her youth, repeating herself a lot. As hard as it was, I appreciated the time I spent with her. Finally, she lost the ability to speak. She would try and still tell stories and read to me, but it was mostly her pointing at things or words on a page and trying to force herself to say something. It usually came out as a stutter. I smiled a lot during this time, but inside I knew my grandmother had gone. The being that was left was nothing more than a baby in an old woman's body. Then she passed. Honestly, it was a relief. The husk of a human being that remained was tired all the time and was only able to drain energy from those around her. I loved her. It breaks my heart that I never got to appreciate my grandmother as an adult. I only have childhood memories of Thanksgiving and adult memories of her broken mind. From what everyone says, she was an incredible woman. I just never really got to meet her. R.I.P. Grandma Jenny. Edit. Thanks to whoever found this worthy of gilding. Story 7. that I'll never get out of the paradox of wanting to be alone but feeling hopelessly lonely. My entire life has been, I dislike being alone. Leave me alone. Story 8. First world problem, I know, but the idea that I'll just work 5 to 6 days, every week at some job I dislike for the next 30 or 40 years, only occasionally accumulating enough money and vacation time to explore any of my interests. I never find enough time to recharge, and my downtime away from work is generally not used pursuing my dreams goals because I'm just dreading more work, running errands, etc., not to mention no money. So my greatest fear is working just enough to survive and never getting a chance to live. I have a lot of hobbies and interests and a girlfriend I love, but I have very little time to spend with her, very little time to pursue what I love, and am afraid it will only get worse. Should add that this fear is compounded by the fact that I got a job doing what I grew up doing for fun, and now I dislike doing this job. So, I've realized that liking something doesn't mean you'll like doing it for work. And now, I have to figure out what I'd rather do, but what if I just wind up disliking that even more than this? I wish there were some way I could just job shadow like 30 careers for a month and then choose. But no, I have to invest time and money just getting qualified before I can even try another one, which might very well lead me to another situation of paralysis and apathy. I work 8 a.m., 8 p.m. today. I don't have any money and won't for the foreseeable future. I just feel so very fudge sometimes. Try not to think about it has become my new motto, replacing my old, let's just try this and work hard at it and good things will happen mindset. And I didn't even notice it really. I just woke up one day and realized I was working all the time, spinning my wheels financially, exhausted and unhealthy, and for what? Story 9. Well, my 1-year-old son has a tumor. They say it is benign, but on the other hand, they say they are not sure what it is. They are still looking into it. We don't know. I have to say, nothing else has come close, despite the fact that I have had a few interesting experiences myself over the years. Story 10. The thought that I may never find an SO who wants me as much as I want them. It gets scary thinking that I could be alone forever. Sure, it's unlikely, but darn, it's scary. Answer: find joy in life. Don't wait for joy to find you. That is the difference between somebody who is alone and somebody who craves alone time. Ever notice how things seem to happen when you don't expect them? Like getting hit on a lot when you have a girlfriend? Getting asked to dance when your fly is down? Going to prom with a meanie and leaving with the girl of your dreams? Point is, live your life. People who simply live on are extremely attractive because they don't get bogged down. They aren't wasting their energy and time on things that are out of their control. Work with what is in your hands. Story 11. I could drive my car into oncoming traffic if I wanted to and wipe out my family and the other people I hit. That's scary. Story 12. Passing. I'm honestly unsure of what is to happen to me after this life ends. Also, being violation by a clown. I guess being violation to passing by a clown would be the worst. Answer: this. Intense this. I get really bad panic attacks about it regularly. Like I'm a mellow person, but the finality of passing is incredibly pressuring. This kind of ties in with old people saying they blink and they are old. That's fudge horrifying. Plus, my mom dying is the last thing I want to happen. She's like mid-40s and I'm mid-20s, so we will be cool for a while, but I know I'm going to lose my shoot when it happens. Seriously? Though, if there's anything that can help me, let me know. The anxiety pops up so much that it's hard to think straight anymore. I've thought about talking to friends about it, but even then, I don't think I could do it. The age-old argument of, do you remember not being alive before birth, doesn't do me any good. Freaks me out knowing everything I've learned and felt and picked up will just be gone. just about the only sliver of hope is ghosts for me. But even then, it is such a small sliver, it doesn't make a dent in my feeling about it. Religion would be nice, but I got out of it because of my lack of belief. Shoot. I mean, even over the holidays I was thinking, everyone here will die and this will be lost to the atoms of space. I may need some help. Help. It's overwhelming. I'm a pretty smooth sailor when it comes to emotions and thoughts, so the fact that passing can reduce me to melancholy and madness all at once shows me that it's a really strong feeling. Story 13. Honestly, people. My wife was abused for almost a whole year by a boyfriend before I ever met her. I still don't know everything that happened, but occasionally things come to the surface and I learn a detail I didn't know before. To bear the thought of the atrocities she went through genuinely hurts me on a very deep level. The fact that people are capable of evil deeds to one another is what terrifies me the most. What is stopping each one of us from the same? Story 14. Space. It is nothing. The Earth is floating in a never-ending sea of nothingness. Also, for as much as we think we know about it, we know such a minute portion of space. For all we know, we could be an accident. Perhaps someone put a spatially tessellated void inside a modified temporal field until a planet developed intelligent life, introduced the wonders of electricity to that planet, which the species now generates on a global scale using Google boxes, and, some of it goes to run a car's engine and charge a phone and stuff. But another planet, Earth, formed intelligent life, resulting in our Ben Franklin discovering electricity himself. Story 15. The deep ocean, and how much of it is unknown to humans. I love to be on the water, but I always have a fear of some bloodthirsty giant octopus squid shark will come out of the deep and eat me whole. Answer. I love water and have spent a ton of time in both lakes and the ocean. My job for 4 years in the military actually required open water swims in the ocean on a very regular basis. Even so, I am still super creeped out by any sort of industrial waterway, like harbors and man-made channels. Few kilometers offshore swimming and I'm fine, but the second I'm around big stationary ships or buildings that extend up to or beyond the shoreline, e.g., no natural shoreline, just a dock, seawall, etc., and I get really uneasy. Also, large structures underwater freak me out, man-made or natural. Like when I'd be diving and it is murky, and then all of a sudden some big unidentified object comes into view. It could be a rock, sunken ship, or whatever. Just that moment when it first comes into view and all I know is that it is something big always creeps me the hell out. I can't even explain why it freaks me out, but just something about man-made bodies of water and large objects underwater gives me the creeps. I think that fear associated with unknown underwater stuff is just a natural reaction or some sort of survival instinct. Story 16. Deep water. It's really unsettling because, 1, I'm not built to be in water. But you see, it's darker and harder to see the further down you go. In B4, arthalassophobia and arsubmechanophobia are linked. Story 17. Passing. Of myself. Of my loved ones. All forms. I know it's an inevitability, and I know we all go through it at some point or another, blah blah blah. But oh man, the sheer terror of not existing, not knowing what's happening in the world, not getting more experiences in life. That shoot keeps me up at night. It sends me into anxiety attacks during the day. Ugh, I dislike it. And I only started really obsessing over this within the last year or two. I miss the blissful ignorance I used to live in. Story 18. Bodies of water where I can't see the bottom. Pond, lake, river, Ocean. You guys can jump in. I'm gonna be over here eating a sandwich. Falling into a river. More specifically, driving at night, not paying attention or getting hit, blowing through the guardrail and plunging into the Mississippi. There's a road that hugs the river, and a short guardrail is the only barrier. Story 19. Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe, or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. Arthur C. Clarke. Answer. Neat little thought experiment. Humanity has been playing with radio signals capable of leaving our atmosphere for, 6 decades now? While we couldn't decipher the messages, we are getting better and better at deciphering messages such as those every year, and some people suggest it's possible that another species could pick up our radio signals, pinpoint our location, and have an incredible advantage over us with that knowledge. Not that I'm proposing alien invasion or something, but radio signals travel at the speed up light, and it scares me to think that another species could know. We exist and just be pondering how to handle contact with us. It could be like a Cold War, only one side doesn't know they're in it. Story 20. Dating terrifies me. Developing feelings for somebody and not having them feel the same way about me always freaks me out. I still date, of course, but it scares the shoot out of me. MBSP. Also rubber bands and balloons. Story 21. Every time I ride with my one buddy, I imagine dying in a car wreck with a top 40 station on. I see myself lying on the pavement, car pinning my broken body. I try to reach my phone but can't. I try to reach my smokes. I can't. The car stereo DJ says he's starting a 15-minute pop block without interruption. I wince, but not from the physical pain. I am realizing Justin Bieber is the soundtrack to my passing. It is the last song I'll ever hear. This is actually a fear of mine. I get anxiety when I'm in a car, it's bad weather, and I don't control the radio. Story 22. Needles. They freak me right the hell out. I don't know why, but the sight of a medical syringe just makes me immediately kick into flight mode. Story 23. All right, listen up. I spend a whole lot of time thinking about horses. Want to know why? Because horses are fudge terrifying. A horse is massive, and it will fudge you up. They can take off fingers with their bite. They can cave your skull in with a kick. And worst of all, they're dumb fuck stupid. Like full-blown pants-on-head retarded. If a horse was a person, the person would get an extra 15 minutes in exams just for being that stupid. If a horse were a book, it would be a children's book, and not a good one like a Suez book, but like a really shoot kids book. Horses are big, strong, and dumb, and they will fudge you up purely, 'cause they thought your coat flapping in the wind was the reaper himself coming to fudge their entire day up. My uncle used to look after horses. For years he looked after those behooved bastards till one day, one of his oldest, most trusted horses just up and thought, hey, that guy walking up behind me who feeds me every goddamn day must be a terrifying predator. So he up and kicks my uncle in the head, and you know what? He fudge died because horses will fudge your gentrified shoot right up. That's not a true story. I made it up. But the fact that you would have definitely believed me should be reason enough for you to take a second thought about your opinion on goddamn horses. You want to know what the 4 horsemen rode on? Bingo, fudge horses. Why were the Mongol horde so threatening? Fudge horses. Cavalry were so goddamn important in war that it took the invention of fudge tanks to supplant them. You hear that, you horse apologist piece of shoot? In the theater of war, horses are second only to mother fudge tanks. Horses are awful. That horse doesn't care if you have a family. That horse doesn't think about your crying children when it uses its big, goofy teeth to take off all 4 of your fingers on one hand. That horse doesn't care when its great fudge off hooves cave in your skull. That horse doesn't care 'cause it's too fudge stupid to care. That horse will ruin you. I am genuinely terrified of horses, and there are not enough glue factories in the world to pacify my fear. TL.dr. If you aren't afraid of horses, you should be. Answer: darn, this is fudge hilarious. And true. I have 4 of the shady bastards. They are like a horde of locusts. They will eat you out of house and home and then shoot everywhere. They rip the grass out of the soil and trod the sod to dirt. A Walmart bag flapping in the breeze instantly turns them into Broncos. A nice cabinet, temporarily stored in the barn, is pummeled by one of the escaped brutes and turned into splinters. They are crafty and devious, and if you are afraid, they will know it instantly. My only consolation to owning these creatures is that if the shoot hits the fan, I will have enough meat to last a while. P. Story 24. Pregnancy. Something permanently altering my body and, hormonally, screwing with my mind, a parasite beyond my control, is utterly horrific. I would feel helpless, trapped, and disgusting given my sensory issues and need for personal stability security. Story 25. People who have nothing to lose, or rather, people who have nothing to live for. The slightest thing might set them off. You cutting in traffic, you having a bad moment and responding shorter than you normally do. Something small in the grand scheme of things, and they freak out and want to hurt or eliminate you. I've been in a situation where someone has done some of the above, stolen a parking space from me, or been needlessly rude, and the thing that really calmed me down from not responding back in kind was saying to myself, you know what, LK Dubs, it's not worth it. Let's move on. Some people don't have that. Jail is literally a better option than their existence. Having compromised career opportunities is not a thing they have to worry about. Story 26. Heights. I have a paralyzing fear of heights. I can't approach ledges, bluffs, anything with a moderate drop without having some kind of anxiety attack. Story 27. The thought of being pregnant. I don't like the thought of something growing inside me, nor the thought of the pain involved. It's not made any easier when my family tells me that I'll get over it in time to carry on the family genes because I don't think they understand quite how much the whole thing scares me. Please don't give me any replies on how I'll get over it. I feel silly enough as